Good afternoon, everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Greg Romero Wilson. I am here. We are live with fantasy football harsh reality. We're rounding the corner of week 8, and I don't know about you, but I can't believe it. I can't believe half the season technically is already gone. I mean, yeah, it's 17 weeks, but it's 16 games. I mean, this is the halfway point. Which is weird. It's like we barely get going. And fantasy football has a lot to do with it too, because I get so involved and every week is so bored. And the second a weekend's over, I'm like, well, let's reload. Let's reload for next week. Let's hit the waiver wire. Let's try and make a trade deal, which I don't know. I guess some guys are really big on trading. And listen, now's the time to make some trades. It's the middle of the season. You know what you got. Now's the time if you know what you need if you have a shot at winning. I mean, if you just look at the Houston Astros right now, they went out and got Verlander. They knew that was the piece they needed to make the World Series, and look what it's done for them. So now's the time, if you're in a position where you feel like you could win, but you're not quite the number one team, now's the time to look at what can you let go of to get the piece that you really need. So it's trading season, baby. Better get in there, get involved, do something. But looking at week 8, obviously it's man, what a week. What do we got coming up? Let's look at it. Dolphins and Ravens start off tonight, Thursday night, which by the time you see this, it probably will have happened. So let's see what kind of prognosticator I am in real time. And the question for me is, what can Matt Moore do for this Dolphins team? In many ways, I want to play the Ravens defense, because anytime you have a backup quarterback coming in, but this is a quarterback that's been with this team for 3 years. This isn't like he's never started any games. He has started games. He hasn't been spectacular, but he hasn't been horrible. I think he does have a winning record. It's something like 16-12 or 13-11, something like that. So, and obviously he's got something to prove. He had something to prove in the second half of last week, and he's got something to prove this week. And so that is the storyline going into this game. And because of that, and for me, because of that storyline, this is the shit or get off the pot week for Jay Ajayi. Either he turns around Matt Moore, sort of the way Adrian Peterson did when he got over in Arizona, although obviously that second week he had there last week, but the whole team did nothing. And so I feel like it's a little, it's in London. And as I said, old people need rest. Old people need rest. Okay. So he'll be back at home. He'll be rested. So hopefully that'll be different after the bye week for Adrian Peterson. But for Jay Ajayi, dude, this is it. Matt Moore hopefully brings some energy. You guys start matriculating the ball down the field via the passing game, and hopefully it opens up the run for you. Ravens are they're not, I think they give up I don't know what they say, 11th fewest. I don't know how they rank it, but it's a pretty good defense over there. So we'll see if Ajayi finally, the fact that he hasn't had a touchdown. What the fuck is going on? Why doesn't he have a touchdown? It's so crazy to me. But hopefully this should be the week. He either gets it done on Thursday night, they have one of those games where it sinks their way, or I don't know what to tell you about Ajayi. I mean, you play him because you have to. You hope that every game is the game, but it's week 8. I'm beginning to see what we got. This either turns around or it doesn't. But I do like Ajayi because of that, because for some reason, in my stupid heart, in my mind, that for some reason believed he was going to be great this season, I still believe he can turn it around. And like I said, it's either this game or no game. So I like Landry. I like Ajayi because, I mean, Matt Moore seems to really be looking for Jarvis Landry. I think we saw that in the second half of last week. So the guys I expect to explode, though, really, if I'm being honest, is the Ravens defense. I expect them to get 1 to 2 interceptions and 4 to 5 sacks. I expect the Ravens defense to fucking feast on Matt Moore. And but you never know. So, but I'm not playing them over Seattle, even though Houston is coming in there and they're rested and they might be running and gunning, but it's hard to win in Seattle. I think I'm always going to play the Seattle defense when they're at home in Seattle. Vikings at the Browns. This is one of those matchups that, like, when I'm doing daily fantasy, I'm always looking for the number 2 receiver of whoever's facing the Vikings, because Xavier Rhodes is one of those, and I'm also looking for the number 2 behind Patrick Peterson, and I'm looking for the number 2 behind Richard Sherman. And so when you look at those guys, in fact, if you look at the Dolphins, maybe not Landry, but what's his name's been injured? Devontae Parker. I don't even know he's going to fucking play. So I think you got to stick with Landry in that one. But if Devontae Parker plays, I would play him because Landry's going to be covered by Sherman, and he's a shutdown guy. So I look for these number 2s against the Vikings, but who the fuck are you going to trust on the Browns? Rashard Higgins. I mean, they got Dick. And the thing is, the Browns' defense though is great against the run, and that's why I'm a little more leaning towards. I hope they get. It could be just me wanting them to get not. I always want to say Theo Riddick, but it's the other guy, Jerick McKinnon involved because he's been so great, and then they went all Latavius Murray. But if anyone's going to struggle up the middle, it's going to be Latavius Murray because the Browns' defense is very good up the middle. So it could be where it swings back to McKinnon this week. It could be wishful thinking because that's what I want to happen for my teams. So because we all play. God, it's so hard to disconnect yourself. Like if someone asked you like a lineup question about their lineup, it's so black and white. It's like, oh, you go with that guy, you go there, done. But I can't. You try doing it for your own team. You can't do it. You get all in your own head and your reasoning and things you think you see. What am I doing? By the way, this week I'm. We'll get to it when we get to the Patriots analysis. But I have Tom Brady in 2 leagues, and I'm playing against the guy with Tom Brady in my other league. But I'm sitting Tom Brady in 1 league. And we'll get to that. So anyways, and this Vikings-Browns game, this is in London. Boo. I hate these fucking games. But, I like Thielen. I like Rudolph. I expect the Vikings defense to be the really explosive pick here. They're the ones that are really going to go off. If you got daily fantasy, you got the money, go with Vikings because the Browns' offense is what sucks, not their defense. Their fucking offense is garbage. So they should, and I'm waiting to see that. And to be honest, because of bye weeks, I almost have to play Stephon Diggs if he plays. So I have an alert set in my phone for 10:30 at night on Saturday night, which means I'm going to be out doing a show. I'm going to be at a comedy club. Actually, I'll be at the Ha Ha Cafe in North Hollywood. The show starts at 10:45. Feel free to join us. But I have an alert set to be like, check Stephon Diggs because it's at 6:30 in the fucking morning because it's in London. Oh, these fucking assholes with this London shit. 4th game? What the fuck are we doing? First they overdo it on Thursday night. Now they're going bonkers in London. I mean, fuck you, Roger Goodell, you dumb fuck. All right. But I do think here's the thing about this Browns Vikings thing, and the outcome. I think, despite everything I've said, I think because it's in London, and that shit is garbage, and shit always goes weird in London. I have a feeling the Browns get their first win. The game ends 12-7. That's what I'm guessing. That's my guess. That's my prediction for the Browns Vikings, or either that or the Vikings just butt fuck them. One or the other, 35-7 for the Vikes. But because of London and shit's so upside down over there, I don't know. I can see the Browns getting their first win over in London. You know how it is when you're a loser and then you go out of the country and suddenly you get laid and you're like, wow, this change of scenery really did it for me. That might be what does it for the Browns. And I like Duke Johnson because of that. Okay, Chargers at Patriots. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about Tommy Terrific. I love him, but let's be honest, last couple of weeks, he's been very human, been putting up very pedestrian, middle-of-the-road numbers, even though he's been, on all the pregame shows, all the experts, like, he's number 1 ranked. I doubt they have him ranked number 1 this week because his Chargers defense has been really fucking lighting it up. And in fact, I'm really worried. They got a couple of game wreckers in Ingram and Bosa. You already know how I feel about Bosa. So I think they're going to get to Tom Brady. They're going to knock him down. But I also think and this is another thing I'm thinking of the trajectory of that defense, because you're talking about Bill Belichick and Patricia, and these are 2 guys that put together amazing defenses year in, year out. Now they've been getting scored on left and right here in the first half of the season, but it's just like this team to come together and finally find it as they start gelling towards the back half of the season, the back 9, if you will. So that's the question. So this team that shut down an Atlanta team that went in there, fucking, wanted to get revenge, get shut down to 1 score. Okay, is that indicative of where the defense is going, or was it just that 1 game and it's indicative of how bad the offense in Atlanta has become? And I'm afraid it might be the Atlanta answer. So that being the case, in one respect, I do like Tom Brady because I think they're going to have to be throwing the ball a lot to catch up with this team to win the game. On the other hand, I do expect him to get hit a lot, and at least throw 1 interception, and probably have very limited numbers at the end of the day, under 300 yards and only 2 touchdowns. That's what I see. But at the end of the day, I do expect the Patriots to win. So I don't know how they get it done. They may have to do it on the ground. They may have to run the ball to get it done. But it's gonna be a tough day. And there's part of me that believes the Chargers just might do it. But then again, I'm like, nah, not in New England. Maybe if they were over here in StubHub. But I don't see him doing it in New England. I do expect it to eventually wind up Patriots 34 and the Chargers 31, which would mean that Brady has to throw for at least 3 touchdowns. So I don't know. I'm all over the place. The debate in my mind goes back and forth on that one. Although that being the case, I went with Kirk Cousins over Tom Brady in one of my leagues, and I'm counting on Tom Brady to have a tough day because I'm playing against him in my other league, and it's against this cocksucker, this big fucking loudmouth, fucking, oh, Boston this, Boston that, but really he's from fucking Oregon. So, I just, I can't wait. He's actually sitting right over there right now. But anyways, so I'm really actually hoping that Tom Brady struggles a little, but not too much, because I am playing him in my league of record over Des Bryant because it's versus Washington, and those games are always fucking just white. I don't want to be hoping Des does more. I just want him to win, so I'm going to stick with Tommy Brady in that. Bears at Saints. This will be a real interesting test for the Bears defense because this Bears defense has been electric. They've been fucking great, but this Saints offense, they're at New Orleans, and when they're at home, boy, Drew Brees can light it up. Kamara can get going, Ingram can get going. So it'll be interesting to see what these Bears can hold them to. We'll see if the Saints defense is for real. That was a defense that I ended up playing last week against the Green Bay Packers, and they let Hundley look like a real NFL quarterback for 2 quarters, which fucking pissed me off. But finally, they got a hold of him, and now I think you see what's really going to be the tale of the tape this for the rest of the season for the Green Bay Packers. But so I think the Saints defense also gets back on track, and it's going to have to be. I mean, they've been running a solid run game. They have to keep going with Jordan Howard. They're going to have to do the run game. So I don't know if anyone's going to really explode. I do like Breeze, Thomas, and Kamara. I like Jordan Howard because of volume. I like Zach Miller because eventually he's going to have to dump it off. So that being the case, I think the Saints ultimately win it 28-24. But I don't think anybody goes off in this game. I think it's a very defensive game. So volume is going to be really what we're looking for. Panthers and Bucks. Boy, Carolina needs to bounce back like a motherfucker. Did you see that interview with the Cam Newton? He's just like, next question. Goodbye. Like, man, someone needs to get his head together. Like, get him in some kind of a maturity camp, if they have one, some tough love situation, something. Fucking get that kid to be an adult. He's fucking being a fucking baby. I mean, just fucking deal. Yeah, you don't like it. Just be professional. But don't fucking all this throwing a fit. When are you gonna learn? You look like a fucking pisser after the little baby after the Super Bowl loss, and you haven't learned from that. You haven't been like, you know what? I'm gonna just handle it this way. I'm gonna be professional. I'm gonna walk the fuck out of there and then go kick a trash can. Which, by the way, that's the only thing you can legally kick anymore. The Bucks defense is struggling, so this is actually a great opportunity for the Panthers offense to get back on track. I like Cam. I like both the wide receivers. I like Jonathan Stewart to actually get some yards, and of course, who doesn't like Mike Evans? But Carolina does still have a pretty solid secondary, a pretty good defense. So that being the case, I don't necessarily like Jameis Winston. Even though I do like Mike Evans at a pure volume, the fact that guy just makes plays. But Winston, I think, might throw a couple interceptions. But I do think the Bucks win it, and a close one, 28-27, for whatever it's worth. You guess your numbers. They're all fucking guessing, too. They don't fucking know. They're all fucking, they don't fucking go back. There's no accountability. Colts and Bengals. Man, play that Bengals defense, which, by the way, the guy that I'm playing in my league record went and picked up the Cincinnati defense. And is, of course, playing them because it's against Indianapolis, who have given up the most points. I can't say he's wrong. I got to say it's a shrewd move by that cocksucker Paddington Bears. Otherwise, a.k.a. Rick Ronk, a.k.a. some other dude who just calls himself Rick Ronk for the purposes of being a dickhead in fantasy football. Play that defense. Okay, I do like Joe Mixon. I think he's finally starting to really get involved. And against the Colts, this is the game where Joe Mixon should show up and be the Joe Mixon you drafted. I do expect A.J. Green to be absolutely explosive. And for that same reason, I do like the Red Rifle. So there you go. I think the Bengals blow them out 31-10. Raiders! The Raiders! At the Bills. I mean, that's okay. So will the Raiders float back to earth? I mean, they had that big game, but it was a Thursday game, which are always fucking weird. Sort of like game 1 of the season. I mean, this is just so and they're going against the Bills defense, which has been very, very good. They don't have Marshawn Lynch, which I actually think might be a good thing. I'm interested to see what happens when they just use Jalen Richard as the lead back and bring in Washington. I think it might bode well. And listen, if you're going to play Jalen Richard, this is the week. I'm playing him in one league because I have to. Because the fucking bye weeks, I don't need, and Marshawn's suspended, so I'm putting in Jalen Richard. And I don't know, at least I think he's going to have to catch some swing out passes because they're very, this is a very stingy defense up the middle. I don't expect that much from Jalen Richard, but I mean, hopefully he scores me some PPR points. Unlike Marshawn Lynch, who just sucks. I do like Crabtree against this team. I think that's where you can get him. And I do like the Bills' defense because, the Raiders have shown a propensity for making mistakes. So, although I do think LaShawn McCoy is going to explode. I don't think the Raiders defense can contain him. I think most of the offense flows to McCoy. McCoy, I think, turned on last week when he hit that touchdown, which is what I'm hoping happens with Ajayi. Please, Ajayi, don't be a fucking piece of shit. Fucking just do it. And so I do expect an explosive game from LaShawn McCoy. Even Sean is Irish. I don't know if they do that. 49ers and Eagles. Ugh. Play anybody on the Eagles. I think I have Smallwood in one of my leagues as a flex. Or I did. I may have taken him out, but but everybody should fucking feast. I mean, I wanted to, you know what it is? I wanted to take out Alshon Jeffrey, but if he's going to have a good game, it's going to be versus the Niners. This is a team that's absolutely eating dicks. Everybody on the Eagles is going to explode. And the Niners are just, I don't know what to tell you about those guys. I don't think Carlos Hyde's going to have a good day going up against that Eagles defense. They'll be loading up against him. And I don't think Breathard can throw the ball against them. I mean, I think the biggest points are going to be by the Eagles defense. They should televise this one in one of those specials. You're not going to believe what happens next. World's dumbest coaches. Okay, here we go. A show I was a part of. Texans at the Seahawks. I mean, I'm playing the Seahawks defense because they're at home, and you play them at home. You have the 12th man. Deshaun Watson, I don't think has ever seen anything quite like 12th man, but, big college audiences are fucking loud too, and they're, and even bigger than pro audiences. So, but that stadium's something different, and if the 12th man shows up, it could be, we'll see. But this is a rested Texas team. This is a Texans team that is coming off a bye week, and they're red hot going into it. I expect them to pick up right where they left off, to be perfectly honest. So to be honest, I'm a little worried about the Seattle defense because I could see them really hanging them up for a couple of big deep balls. But I do like Watson. I like Russell Wilson. I don't like any of the running backs still in the Seahawks. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I expect the Texans to win this one 38-27, if I'm being completely honest. Although I'm not that big on DeAndre Hopkins because although sometimes Sherman doesn't follow the guy around the field. So if that happens, DeAndre Hopkins. So I should say I just barely like him because he'll get one big deep one if it goes out. But again, look, Will Fuller may be the fucking guy in daily fantasy. Play Will Fuller. Steelers and Lions, 2 games to go. Here we go, down the home stretch. This should be an explosive game, big-time offensive game. I mean, the Steelers' defense has been pretty good, but that doesn't stop the Lions from slinging the ball. And listen, you need somebody you're on bye. Pick up Juju Schuster-Smith or Smith-Schuster, however it goes, and I did, and I think I may play him. I may play Alshon Jeffrey, but which I don't. But again, it's against the Niners. Even he should have some points. Although Juju, because Martavis Bryant is suspended for being a social media fucking douchebag. So expect Juju Smith, look for him, in daily fantasy, use him as a cheap flex maybe, if you want to spend that money somewhere else. Now, I do expect Le'Veon Bell to run the show. Everybody should ball out, It'll be interesting if Golden Tate, I think I read that he can't come back this week, the week after, but he was hinting like he might make it back this week. I think he was listed as questionable. So it'll be interesting to monitor that. Maybe pick him up last minute. I like everyone in this game but Abdullah. Abdullah is just a guy I don't trust. But I think the Steelers win it 38-31. And now the game, the most important game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys, my beautiful Dallas Cowboys, versus the Washington Redskins. Now, as a Cowboy, the Redskins are obviously their natural enemy. Although I have to be honest, everybody in the NFC East considers the Cowboy their greatest rival. The Eagles consider the Cowboys their greatest rival. The Redskins, obviously, and So do the Eagles and the Giants. The Giants do too. They fucking hate the Cowboys, but each one of them considers the Cowboys their arch rival. Whereas the Cowboys, if they have an arch rival, it probably is the Redskins because of the natural, Cowboy versus Indian inclination. So every year this game is like if the team only wins one, but it's against that team, both teams will consider it a successful season. So Cowboys tend to struggle in games like this. I think they have to run the ball a lot to win. I don't know. I'm not playing Dak. I don't like him as much as I did last week versus San Francisco. Washington, you can count on Kirk Cousins to sling that ball all over the place. Their running game is really suspect. So I do like Dak. I don't love him, but I do think I like Dez if Norman doesn't play. But I think Josh Norman's supposed to come back. In which case, Bryce Butler or Terrence Williams. Although I think I like Bryce Butler a little bit more. Now I do expect Kirk Cousins and Jordan Reed to both explode in this game and have big games. And Zeke, I expect Zeke to explode because I think the Cowboys are going to have to lean on Zeke Elliott. Feed the Zeke. Feed the Zeke. Feed the Zeke. So I think that's the guy that's really going to have to toe the rock for the Cowboys to play this out. And I do think the Cowboys win it, although I'm not, you know what? I left off the score because it's completely, me predicting it is complete bullshit because I'm always going to think the Cowboys can win it. But they're in Washington. So, that it is what it is. But I still think the Cowboys can get it done. I think you saw a team that feels alive with Zeke Elliott now feeling like he's going to be able to play out this entire season. So, that being the case, those are the guys. That's how I see it. Those are the guys that think they are going to explode, the guys that stay away from. A couple of value picks for DFS. Remember, follow me on Twitter at @TheGregWilson. Please do me a favor, retweet that top tweet. Help me get a Netflix special at #GiveGreg a damn special. Because why not? All right, this has been fun. I hope you guys are having a great time, man. This is week 8. I got to turn the corner with these teams, man. I need them to light them up. We'll see what happens.